Alright, so x squared plus 8x plus 3. Alright, we're going to use the quadratic, we're going to use completing the square method to solve this quadratic equation. Now, you're looking at your Alex account here, and you're noticing it's first off asking you what form. Okay? And you've either going to have an x plus a number equals a number form, or you're going to have an x minus a number equals a number type form. Okay? So it just depends on, really, do you have a positive here? Then it will go here. But if it looked like this, x squared minus 8x plus 3 equals 0, then your answer would go here. So your first step here, step 1, is really to identify, is this a positive or a negative right after the first term, the x squared term, the quadratic term. Okay? Okay, so that's your goal. So we know that we're going to use this form, the one with the x plus on it. Now, y. Let's look at the y now. So x squared plus 8x plus 3 equals 0. The whole goal here is to get x squared and x by themselves on the left. So we're going to subtract 3 from both sides. Okay, step 1. So x squared plus 8x, I'm going to leave a space, and I'm going to say negative 3. Now the reason I left a space is because, remember, when completing the square, what you do is you take the middle term, okay, the middle term, in this case, the middle term is 8, okay, so whatever your middle term is, you divide by 2. Okay, so what we're going to get next is 8 divide 2, which equals 4, and then you finally square the result. Okay, so that would be 4 squared, which is equal to 16. And then you add the squared result to both sides of equation. Okay, so I'm going to add plus 16 here and plus 16 here. Okay, that's how you would run this part of it. Just that's this process on the right here. That's the one of the stages for completing the square. Okay, that's one of the things. So now that we've got that, I can actually look at this and go, oh, that's 4 times 4, and I know 4 plus 4 is 8. This is x times x, so I'm going to create my baskets. X's are at front, so they go to the front. 4's in the back, so they go to the back. Both are positive, so I get plus and plus. And 16 minus 3 is 13. Again, this is x plus 4 times x plus 4, so that is a perfect square. Okay, so a perfect square is the same thing multiplied by itself. That creates the perfect square. Now comes just the rote procedure. This is what you do to solve this problem. What we're going to do is we're going to square root both sides, okay, because the square root of a square gets rid of both, leaving us with simply x plus 4 equals the square root of 13. Now, when you square root something, it becomes both positive and negative. So because I did this, this is really plus or minus the square root of 13. Finally, what I want to do is I actually want to subtract the 4 from both sides, because that leaves me with x all by itself on the left. So this is now x equals negative 4 plus or minus the square root of 13. So that's where you should be at this point. To finalize this whole thing out, we are going to do x equals negative 4 plus square root of 13, or x equals negative 4 minus square root of 13. Again, you're going to need a calculator for this part. So we're going to go negative 4 plus the square root of 13, which is going to give us x equaling negative 0.394. Again, go to 3 decimal places. And then negative 4 minus the square root of 13 is x equaling negative 7.6055, but I only want 3, so I underline the third, look next door. Since that's 5 or greater, I add 1 more, so this is negative 7.606 is what x is equal to there. Okay? Now, in the very last portion of what you're supposed to fill in on Alex, it says solution. What you are going to do is say negative 0.394 comma negative 7.606, because these are the two potential solutions for this problem. There is nothing that we can eliminate because there is nothing concrete about the problem in terms of like what we did in the problem number 5 where it said, how many seconds. Well, seconds is usually done in a positive integer format, not a negative integer format. Whereas this one is just simply what are some options for solutions here. Basically, if I were to graph this, so let's just actually look at the graphs real quick. So give me a second while I add that in. I'm going to pause this. Okay, so what I did is I graphed the equation x squared plus 8x. Okay, you can see me moving it around down at the bottom there. Okay, x squared plus 8x plus 3, I graphed that equation. And check this out, just so you can kind of get an idea what this means. So when you are finding irrational roots, or you're finding roots of something, you're really just finding out when does it cross the x-axis. So notice this is about negative 7.606, and here is about negative 0.394. Okay, so to give you an idea graphically of what it is you're really doing, you're just finding out, all right, if I graph this thing, where does it cross the x-axis? That is all you're doing. Okay, just for those of you who need the visual approach, there you have it. But to the left, you obviously can see the algebraic approach to it all.